Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to Reading Thucydides Peloponnesian War. Today we're going to be doing the 13th year of the war. It's going to be not that long because it's within the time of peace, but therefore some of the events that happen. We'll leave off at chapter 52. We're following just the winter of the 12th year, or and the question of Heraclea, where the Helots were defeated by their neighbors, Spartans, and Spartan generals killed. Right. We're using the landmark Thucydides, the translation by Cleary, the Cleary translation. We're using the Google Books version on time there. Uh, and let us start. We're going to be dealing with the 13th year. It begins after the battle at Heraclea was so terrible. After the battle that happened in the winter, Heraclea, the city that was was so terribly reduced that in the first days of the following summer, the Boeotians occupied the place and sent away the Spartan um, Egypt. I can't say his name. It's hard. Satipides for misgovernment, fearing that the city might be taken by the Athenians while the Spartans were distracted with the affairs in the Peloponnesus. The Spartans, nevertheless, were offended with them for what they had done. The same summer, Alcibiades, son of Cleanaces, Cleanace, now one of the generals in Athens, in concert with the Argives and the allies, went into the Peloponnesus with a few Athenian hoplites and archers, and some of the allies in those parts whom he gathered up as he passed, and with his army marched here and there through the Peloponnesus and settled various matters connected with the alliance. And among other things, induced the Pat, Patricians to carry their war further down to the sea, intending himself also to build a fort near the Achaean Rhinum. But the Corinthians and the Sicilians and all the others who would have suffered by this being built came up and hindered him. Um, that same summer, war broke out between the Epidaurians and Argives. The pretext was that the Epidaurians had not sent an offering for their pasture lands to Apollo Pythaeus, as they were bound to do, and the Argives having the chief management of the temple. But apart from this pretext, Alcibiades and the Argives were determined, if possible, to gain possession of Epidurus and thus ensure the neutrality of Corinth, and gave the Athenians a shorter passage for their reinforcements from Aegina than if they had to sail around Sicily. Sybil, like not Sybil, Sicilium, Silurium. Sorry, it's another one of these mispronouncing things. That's very difficult to pronounce. Sicilium, this. See the map figure in the text. The archives recording prepared to invade Epidurus by themselves to extract the offering. About the same time, the Spartans marched out with all their people to Lucreta upon their frontier, opposite Mount Lycrantum, under the command of Aegeus, son of Archidemos, without anyone knowing their destination, not even the cities that sent the contingents. The sacrifices, however, for crossing the frontier not providing propitious, were not proving propitious. The Spartans returned home themselves and sent word to the allies to be ready to march after the month ensuing, which happened to be in the month of Carnea, a holy time for the Dorians. Upon the retreat of the Spartans, the Argives marched out on the last day, but three of the month before Carnea, and keeping this as a day during the whole time that they were out, invaded and plundered Epidurus. The Epidurus summoned their allies to their aid, some whom pleaded the month as an excuse, others came as far as the frontier of Epidurus and remained inactive. So this is the map. Um, while the Argives were in Epidaurus, embassies from the cities assembled at Mentura upon the invitation of the Athenians. The conference having begun, the Corinthians, the Epihar, Ephard, okay, Epharmedis said, the Corinthian, Eupharmedes said that their action did not agree with their words while they were sitting deliberating about peace. The Epidaurians and their allies and the Argives were arrayed against each other in arms. Deputies from each party should first go and separate their armies, and then talk about peace might be resumed. In compliance with the suggestion, they went and made the Argives withdraw from Epidurus and afterwards reassembled, but without succeeding any better in the coming to a conclusion. And the Argives a second time invaded Epidurus and plundered the country. The Spartans also marched to Caryae, but the frontier sacrifices again proving unfavorable, they went back again. And the Argives, after ravaging about a third of the Epidaurian territory, returned home. Meanwhile, 1,000 Athenian hoplites had come to their aid under the command of Alcibiades, but finding that the Spartan expedition was at an end and that they were no longer wanted, went back again. So passed the summer. The next winter, the Spartans managed to elude the vigilance of the Athenians and sent a garrison of 300 men to Epidaurus under the command of Aegisipides. Upon the Argives went to the Athenians and complained of their having allowed an enemy to pass by sea, in spite of the clause in the treaty by which the allies were not allowed an enemy to pass through their country. Unless, therefore, the Athenians now put the Messalians, Helots, in Palos to harass the Spartans, the Argives, would consider the Athenians had not kept faith to them. The Athenians were persuaded by Alcibiades to inscribe at the bottom of the Laconian pillar that the Spartans had not kept their oaths, and to convey the Helots at Caria to Pylos to plunder the country. But for the rest, they remained quiet as before. During this winter, hostility went on between the Argives and Epicureans without any pitched battle taking place, but only forays and ambushes in which their losses were small and fell now on one side and now on the other. At the close of the winter, toward the beginning of spring, the Argives went with scaling ladders to Epidaurus, expecting to find it left unguarded on account of the war, and and being able to take it by assault, but returned unsuccessful. And the winter ended, and with it, the 13th year of the war ended also. So this was a very short one. Okay, the 13th year is, not much really happened. The Spartans still kind of like cheating a little bit. For both sides are kind of not directly going to war, but the Spartans aren't really honoring their agreement. The Athenians are kind of like engaged as Alcibiades, trying to take advantage of the situation to get some advantage and status. Um, and the this is how the war ends. So if you like what we did today, please like it. Put some comments below. If you have any questions or comments, put them below. If you have any recommendations, please do it. This is like trying to catch up and finish this off. Um, um, Take care. You can follow me on social media below. I forgot that little bit of information. Um, my little cold still, it lingered. It's a real long cold. Someone said you had COVID, and I said no. And we had to take the tests, so we're getting over it slowly. But if you want to assist in these things, you can find Patreon and other things below. I don't think you really want to do that. It doesn't matter. No pressure. Um, um, we can do more. That's what we're trying to do here. Okay. Well, that's it. I hope this is enough for kind of a tidbit for the day. And we'll see you next